So Bernie just dropped out of the presidential election, which is very much a bummer, but it is a good opportunity to talk about what actually happened during the 2020 primaries and why did they happen and what could have been done differently. And so I'll do exactly that. So what happened? Well, what happened was early 2019, a bunch of progressive Democrats in such a diverse, intelligent field of, policymakers that really wanted to make change. And they, supported universal health care, and they supported lowering education costs and getting money out of politics and acting on climate change and breaking up the big banks and ending corruption. Like all these great things, pretty much they supported the same things that Bernie had supported in 2016. And this is what the media told us. These were just younger, smarter, more nuanced, intelligent, diverse versions of Bernie Sanders. That's what Pete Buttigieg and Cory Booker and Kamala Harris and Julian Castro and all these great candidates really were. And so when Bernie declared that he's going to run, the media is like, why are you running, old man? Like, what, can't you give up power, you old geezer? Like, there's no reason for you to be running when you have all these young people saying the same thing as you. Like, what's your deal? But he ran anyways. And despite being the most popular senator in the country and somebody that had gotten second place in the previous election and had millions and millions of supporters and had 1 million volunteers within 1 week of declaring, he wasn't the favorite. The favorite, actually, according to them, was Kamala Harris, who, despite not having a record or any name recognition or really even a platform, or in so much as she did have a record, it was as Attorney General of California, doing all the things that the Democratic Party was now opposed to, including her own platform, things like mass incarceration and opposing legalizing marijuana and all these things. She was the favorite because she was the female version of Obama that the elites liked, and she was very good at triangulation. And so this is the favorite, the person that nobody knows, that doesn't have a record. Bernie's the old man in the way. And this was a narrative for quite a while. And then Biden, jumps in, and then he's suddenly the favorite, probably for good reason, because he had the highest name recognition. He was Obama's vice president. And so he jumps up to a 20-point lead. And when that happens, all the other Democrats start attacking Biden for his awful record, as they well should. And they point out, Kamala Harris points out that he supported segregationists in opposing busing, and they point out that he was the one who started mass incarceration with the crime bill, and he supported the Iraq War, and he's like just an old school 1970s Democrat that has been very much in the pocket of the banks, and he's not a good guy, and like they shouldn't vote for him, and he's incoherent. They reminded us, like, how is this guy gonna beat Trump? He can't even finish his sentences, says the media and the Democrats in unison as they try to stop Biden to get one of these other people that they like better in. But then what happens? What happens is actually Warren jumps to the lead because she has these progressive plans that she's coming out with. She has a plan for that. She has a plan for universal child care and getting rid of student debt and instituting a wealth tax. She has all these progressive ideas which people like, and so she becomes the favorite and she surpasses Biden. And then she hires a bunch of Obama aides and Clinton people and pivots away from supporting Medicare for all, and starts to fall in the polls as the progressives consolidate behind the original progressive, who turned out to be the only progressive, who turned out to be Bernie Sanders. And as this happens, he rises in the polls. And suddenly the mainstream Democrats, all these young people who were just Sanders proteges and had nothing but nice things to say about him when he was polling at 13% and had only awful things to say about Biden when he was first place, start attacking Bernie. Mayor Pete says that he's just a loony socialist that can't actually get anything done, and they start going after Bernie. But it doesn't matter because he's consolidated the progressive base and he wins Iowa, or he wins it in terms of votes. But there's a bunch of stuff happens. Maybe worst case he ties with Buttigieg in Iowa, but then he wins New Hampshire, and now he's won the 2 states, and then he blows out the field in Nevada, and everybody's freaking out, and Biden is totally imploded. He's gotten 4th place and 5th place in those 2 states, and then 3rd place in Nevada, just barely. And so it's not great. And so Sanders has won 3 states in a row. It looks like he's about to win the nomination, and the establishment can't stop him. Like, the media's been going after him a while. The other candidates have been attacking him as well as each other. Warren's been leaking stuff to the press, which is highly questionable. Buttigieg has been attacking him as a kooky socialist. But he's got all the momentum. He's only a week away from Super Tuesday. Even though Biden wins South Carolina, Sanders is still up in all the polls, and he's only a day away. But then the call goes out from the party bosses, and they say, "Hey, everybody, fall in line. Like, you think this is the Democratic Party, but we're the ones calling the shots. And you're going to get behind the guy that, a couple months ago you were saying was incoherent, would lose to Trump, and had a terrible record." All things which are true, but now it's time to endorse him, because what's more scary is losing to the guy that's going to threaten our privileged positions and our access to power. And so Buttigieg, after getting a call from Obama, drops out, endorses Biden with 1 day left. Klobuchar drops out, endorses Biden, probably because she got promised the vice president slot. We'll see. Beto endorses Biden, and the media in unison starts saying, the call has been out. This is the guy. You need to vote for Biden. Everybody's saying that we need to go behind him. And despite the actual people of the Democratic Party up until a little bit ago having decided we can't vote for this guy, like, we're not supporting him, when the media told them to and the Democratic Party told them to, they fell in line like sheep as well. And say what you will about the Republican electorate, but when the Republican elites and the media told them not to vote for Trump, they actually said, screw you, we're going to do what we want to. This is still a democracy, to their credit, even though I think it might not have been a great move. But the Democrats didn't do that, so that's something to consider. And then so Biden wins that day. Then Harris endorses him, endorses the racist that was being supportive of segregationists a couple months ago, is what she was saying. Endorses that guy. Booker endorses him, despite many comments about him being, cognitively unfit to win, to actually win against Trump. Everybody endorses him. The media is like, it's pretty much over. Look at it. All the people said that they're voting for him. All the 10 people that are the insiders have said that they're who we're voting for. And then the electorate does. He wins the second Super Tuesday, goes into hiding during coronavirus. Nobody knows where he is. And the media starts pretending like the nomination's over. Sanders can't get any more momentum. And then here we are today, where he drops out. That was the proximate cause. What was the ultimate cause of the defeat? What was the reasons underlying those? I think it's a few things. Pretty simple things. I don't think it has much to do with the Sanders campaign making mistakes in terms of strategy or press releases or whatever it was. Obviously, hindsight is 20/20, but I don't think that's the main reason that we lost. I think the fundamental reason is that really the organizing and the education and the actual outreach that needed to be done in order to build up the kind of movement to take on the institutions that have been running the show for a long time wasn't done, and the power of those institutions and the establishment was just too strong. And so it seems like we were very, very close, and it, given another set of circumstances, it could have happened, but fundamentally that the Democratic Party was able to get everybody to fall in line like that isn't that much of a surprise. They were always going to be in opposition. And if we don't do the legwork of actually educating people and organizing and changing the underlying dynamics and being a counterweight to that force, which is extremely, extremely strong in American politics, the power of money in politics, the power of Wall Street, the power of the elites to continue to perpetuate their self-interest, they're going to always be in it for their self-interest, which isn't surprising. We've got to make sure that regular people are in it for theirs. And that's decades and decades of propaganda and status quo politics leading to where we were. And if that's not undermined, you can't just do it in one presidential election. And so when you talk about something like Medicare for All, Sanders can talk about it in 60-second clips on CNN between pharmaceutical commercials and the host grilling him about, this or that technical issue, which is really not part of the main fundamental problem with our healthcare system. And he can do his best to explain it, but it's not going to really work unless people are able to unwind that brainwashing in the first place, which is easy to be done. It should be pretty clear for people. $5 to the government for universal health care is better than $10 to private insurers for health care with worse outcomes. But there's just been so much energy that has been used year after year by those institutions to undermine the idea of taxes or money going towards universal programs like that, that it's hard to do in an election. And if we're going to win next time, we're going to need people to actually to be engaged, and for that counterweight to be stronger. And so I think that's what the goal is now. If we lose again in 4 years, it will be because of the work that's done in the next 3.5, and not because of any single decision made in that next campaign. And so, yeah, let's get to work. Make a YouTube channel. Make a YouTube channel in the forest. That's what I do.